So today we will make a cover for a notebook. You can make one for any notebook at all. I'm going to walk you through the basic measurements, how to calculate your fabric requirements. So you're going to take your measuring tape, and we want the cover on the inside to be about 3 inches. Okay, so we're going to fold 3 inches, and then we're going to go all over your book, yeah, with your measuring tape, like so. Okay, and in my case that's 17 inches, so I'm going to add 3 inches to that measurement, so that's 20 inches. So we took the measurement of the book all around it. Okay, we measured the front, the spine and the back of our book, and we added 3 inches to allow for the sides. Okay, so for my particular book, that measurement was 20 inches. Okay, and my particular book is 8.5 inches tall. Okay, so to both of these measurements I'm going to add 1.5 inches to allow for the seams on top and bottom, so that will be 1.5 inch in total for both the top and the bottom. And for the sides, we're also going to allow 1.5 inches to finish this side of the notebook. Okay, length of the book, that is going to be 10 inches. Okay, and for the width of my fabric, that's going to be 21.5 inches, and that is the measurements that I'm going to cut out of my beautiful fabric. So I want to cover my bullet journal in this fabric. We will also need another fabric to line our cover, because our cover is going to be lined. Okay, and we need some sort of a string for, it's an optional feature. I'm actually going to omit that because my particular notebook actually comes with those, but I'll show you when to include those. Okay. So I cut my outer fabric, as I said, 10 inches by 20 to fit my particular bullet journal. I also, because I'm working with quilting cotton, I also cut a piece of interfacing, so I'm going to interface my cover to give it a little bit more body. So I went ahead and fused the interfacing to my outer fabric. I also went ahead and pressed 1/4 of an inch and then 1/2 inch to allow to finish the edge of the sides of the book cover. Yeah, this is how that's going to look now. Just wanted to mention the tool I use for hemming. It's very handy. You just slide it in, and then you can very precisely measure your hem allowances. And this tool is heat resistant, and therefore you can just iron on your hems while you're measuring them. Very handy. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to edge stitch both of those sides. So I finished the sides of my cover, and I also folded it in half to find the center point. And I'm going to now measure my sides. I'm going to put my notebook along that middle line, and I'm going to, nothing scientific about it really, I'm just going to fold it, okay, and see what fits comfortably. We don't want that to be too snug, okay? And then we're going to grab a marking tool, and I'm going to mark it on the other side. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to finger press this edge. Okay, so I know where to fold my cover. And this is a lovely picture of my family. So what we're creating is the sides of our book cover, okay? So I have it marked with a crease here, and I took a mark here with my friction pen on this side, okay? So I'm just making sure that everything fits. I marked the sides of my cover. Remember, we when we were calculating the fabric requirements, we said that we want these sides to be about 3 inches, and they measure just about that on both sides. And what I'm going to do now is, now that I know the size of my cover with the sides folded, I'm going to cut my lining. So my lining is going to be exactly the size of my cover with the sides folded, okay? In fact, you might want to make it about 1/4 of an inch smaller, so it doesn't kind of roll in the sides. Okay, so I have my lining fabric cut, and I went ahead and interfaced it as well, so that it gives me a little bit of extra body. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold the sides this way, okay, and then we're going to put our lining on top of it. We're going to stitch the top and the bottom, and that will be as done. Now, if you do want to add the extra ribbon thing, as I mentioned, my notebook already comes with them, so I'm not going to do that. But if you do, now is the time to measure that. So what you're going to do is you're going to remember how we found the center of our notebook. So on that measurement, you're going to place your ribbon, and you're going to pin it in place to the right side of the fabric, okay? We're going to now fold them right sides together, like so, on that. Make sure that they are flush with that mark that we made. I'm trying very clumsily do that to avoid knocking down the camera. So you're going to put a pin here. Now make sure that in that corner, because we interfaced it, so it can kind of roll a little bit, so just make sure everything is nice and flush there, and repeat that on all 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. Okay, now believe it or not, we are 2 seams away from finishing. Easy peasy. So we have, remember, marked our the sides of our notebook. We have pinned them 1, 2, 3, 4. You add more pins if you need to. Pins are your friend. Now we're going to take our lining piece and we're going to put it right sides together. See, right side and right side together, and we're going to line it ish. You can move these pins and pin through all the 3 layers. Remember, we cut our lining a smudge shorter, okay? So there it doesn't fit perfectly, but that's okay. This will make using our cover a little bit easier. Okay, so now I'm going to pin this, and I'm going to take this to my sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch on the bottom. I just knocked my camera again, gee, because I'm so professional at this. So I'm going to stitch on both sides, this and this. We're going to leave the sides open so that we can flip the whole thing right side out. And we're going to stitch this with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so I'm stitching the sides with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, which happens to be the distance between the needle and the edge of my presser foot. On my particular sewing machine, I recommend you measure that, but on most machines that would be the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back stitch, and then I'm going to go forward, and I'm making sure that the edge of my presser foot is flush with my fabric. Okay, so I stitched the bottom and the top of my notebook. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clip the corners of the notebook. Make sure that you don't cut through the stitch line. So I'm going to do that to all 4 of the corners. I will try to do this so you can see what I'm doing, because that would be handy. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it out. It's a bit stiff because of all the interfacing we put in it. Okay. So that is that. We're going to press these corners, and then we're going to flip our cover. See how we didn't even bother finishing this edge, because it doesn't really matter, because that's going to stay on the inside, like so. Isn't this beautiful? So I'm going to go and give it a good press, and while I'm pressing, I'm going to take my handy dandy chopstick, and I'm going to push out these corners so they're nice and sharp, like so. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, I'll go and press it, and then we'll put it on our notebook, and we're done. So we're at the ironing station, so I like to use my chopstick to kind of push out all of these edges. Okay, and then we're going to use a good bit of steam. I will try not to iron over the foot of my tripod. Ooh, okay, and look, it is done. And our lovely notebook is nicely covered. If you follow me on Instagram, you'd know I love my bullet journal. Can't be without it. I plan absolutely everything in it. And I'm so happy now it's personalized. So if you like this little tutorial, give it a like, give me a follow, maybe subscribe. Who knows? Maybe I'll make more of these videos. But for now, thanks for watching. Bye.